cat is in here with me or not.
Oh, I don't hear anything, but...
So we might have our guest. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Because he likes to run into the guest room's usually closed, which is where I record, and so he likes to run in, but he usually then goes right under the bed. And I heard him meow, and it sounded like it was in here. I don't know. Maybe I also have a ghost cat.
Probably.
I feel like that's kind of an okay ghost to have. They're just going to knock things off tables and snuggle you at night. Oh, the cat's in here.
I was going to say, it's probably just a
reflection
regular ghost.
in the TV. Maybe regular ghosts. I wonder how many times we've attributed ghosts to cats.
Yeah, right.
I feel like this is a valid question. A weird way to start off an episode about Star Wars, but
Yeah, but...
Most famous ghosts in history are actually cats. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, it makes sense why, glasses fall and candlesticks on fireplaces and whatnot, so...
Yeah, they're just dicks who knock things over.
Just the cat sitting up there having some fun.
Very true. So, where do we even begin?
I really don't know. Well, I mean, I guess first off, I'll say that I'm of the small camp that actually really likes and enjoys The Last Jedi. Apparently, it's a very small group, which is very surprising to me.
Yeah, okay. So here's the thing. On the one hand, for a lot of us, okay, so there's two kinds of people who love Star Wars in childhood. There's the people who enjoy it for what it is, and then there are people who that was part of their identity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Star Wars, I'm a part of my identity person, but I was introduced to Star Wars by my family. It was a special movie marathon that we did when I was younger to watch the original trilogy. I went to, I think, midnight showings of all of the prequel trilogy with my stepdad. It was a thing in my family, but I never really got into the lore of it or anything like that. I just enjoyed Star Wars. So on one level, I enjoyed all of the new trilogy, the sequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed all of them on some level because they're entertaining and they are Star Wars.
Yeah.
Even the last one, on a surface level thing, there are moments and visuals and things that I loved and I was absolutely entertained. So I'm going to say that. And I really liked The Last Jedi. I liked it a lot. I felt it was really well done. It was good storytelling. And probably of the trilogy, I actually think I like The Force Awakens the most because it's the silliest.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about a Star Wars movie. It's why The Phantom Menace is vaguely entertaining. The rest of the prequel trilogy I did not like because it was just
pretty hammy,
dark and weird and heavy at certain points. I just wasn't into that.
Yeah.
So on one level, I was entertained while I was watching The Rise of Skywalker, and I left it being okay, that was not a waste of my time. But then when I try and think about, did it serve its purpose? Do I feel like the story was closed? Did I like the events that happened? Did I feel like, is the trilogy itself a unit? Does it fit into the full 9? And then I was unhappy. And then I went onto Twitter, and one of the things I actually was really happy about then was completely questioned in my mind. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I actually feel about this? And it took me a solid 3 days of watching the GIF of, spoilers, obviously, of Ben and Rey kissing. It took me 3 solid days of just watching that obsessively to decide how I felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I got feelings. Okay. I don't know. You talk.
Well, okay. I mean, going on the I guess my history of Star Wars, I honestly don't even know where it started. It was one of those things that you're just introduced to as a kid. You don't really remember it. I do remember going to visit my grandparents in Washington, and my grandpa had a really cool VHS box set of the original trilogy. And,
I'm pretty sure I still own mine.
Oh, really? That's cool. Yeah, just, anytime I'd go and visit them, they'd be there, and I'd put them on and watch them. And then, they started getting re-released in theaters, which was pretty cool. So, of course, I went and saw them in theaters, and then the Phantom Menace came out, which it came out when I was, I don't know if I was 11 or 12 or something like that. So, I mean, I knew it was Star Wars, and it was fun and entertaining. and I was young and naive because I really liked Jar Jar. Boy, did I grow out of that. And
I was also entertained by Jar Jar, and I was like obsessed with Darth Maul.
oh yeah, well, I still feel like Darth Maul is still a badass in the Star Wars canon, that's for sure. Um, I went and then I went and saw Attack of the Clones in the theater. That's probably the only time I've seen it because I was bored out of my mind in that movie. And I actually really liked Revenge of the Sith. A few things aside, because it does
The
get pretty.
first time I watched it, I liked it. I
Yeah,
watched it again when I was a little bit older, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is terrible."
yeah. There's a lot of very everything's very over the top.
Everything's very brutal, which is not. I just did not feel like it was tonally correct. I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I get
but
that.
we recently rewatched Revenge of the Sith, and I feel like that really helped how I feel about the Rise of Skywalker.
Mm,
So ultimately, I feel like for my journey, it was important.
it's been a while since I watched it.
So you don't remember the moment like the "No, I am your father." Like you don't remember how you felt about that, or if that was a surprise to you.
It's just one of those things. I remember reading a story about this guy who like shielded his kid from Star Wars until he got to be 9 or 10, to where he could really take stuff in, and he watched A New Hope, and then when it got to Empire, he like recorded his reaction to the "I am your father" scene, and the kid had no reaction, and the dad's like, "Why aren't you surprised by that?" And the kid was just like, "Duh, like we all know that. That's just something we know." And that's basically how it was. It's just something I already knew.
I
Um,
remember being surprised for a minute, but I remember the real shocker for me was that Luke and Leia were siblings.
yeah, I think that's
That
that.
would just explode in my brain.
Yeah, I think that's a little more. It's not as. I guess it's not necessarily as memorable as the "I'm your father" thing, but yeah, I think that's a little more of a surprise since you
Well,
know.
also because they kissed, and I was like, that
Yeah.
was very scandalous.
Um, and I really did like The Force Awakens. I'll say it's definitely the most fun, albeit most fan serviced of the three.
Really?
I think so. I think it's.
Wait, what do
I
we
think
mean by fan service? Because if we mean like referential to previous things, probably yes. But if we want to say capitulating to fan complaints, it is the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh well, yeah, no, that's for sure. I don't know. I think taking a step back and looking at Force Awakens, it
It's not
honestly,
good, but it's fun.
yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, but
It was a really good reintroduction to something that had been, especially after the prequels were so panned.
yeah,
They needed something like The Force Awakens to relaunch this and not just get their built-in audience, but get new audience.
yeah, I get that. Because and for that reason, it honestly just seemed like a rehash of A New Hope.
Yeah, I
It
get
hit
that
all the
argument.
same notes, and I feel like even the structure of it is almost the same. Um, but that's why I have a lot of respect for Ryan Johnson, because he in The Last Jedi, was getting so many fan theories and people telling him what he should do, and he was just like, screw everything you guys want and are asking for. I'm doing
Mm,
what I want to do, which I respect that. Whereas Rise of Skywalker, JJ just said, "Oh, you guys want all these things? Here you go. You can have it." And look how the movie turned out.
I know. Well, here's the thing. If he disagreed with where Ryan Johnson went with it,
Mm,
one more movie was not enough to get the whole story he wanted to, because these characters were introduced and then nothing. Like Finn does almost nothing. Rose does absolutely nothing. Like I I get that Rey is the main character. This trilogy is Rey's story. Like the first trilogy was Anakin, the second trilogy is like the middle is Luke, and this end is Rey. I get that. But if you wanted to open up this whole new expansive world for us, we know Disney is going to make more within the Star Wars universe that takes place all along the timeline of Star Wars. Nothing was resolved. Like it just felt so crushed and rushed, and there are a few storylines that played out super well. Like, how are they going to resolve the fact that Carrie Fisher is dead?
Mm-hmm.
And how are we going to lose Leia in a way that feels organic to the story, which I think they did super well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about there's two big moments everyone's fighting about. So let's start with the first one, which is, how do you feel about the fact that Rey is a Palpatine? How do you feel about that reveal?
Honestly, I think I might have rolled my eyes when they said it. Um, I
The only good thing about it was that was some excellent sci-fi horror filming.
oh god, yeah,
Like, it was so creepy. I was like, oh, this feels like a horror movie right now. Like, I don't like where this is going plot-wise, but the visuals are wonderful.
yeah, this made me want a full out horror movie from J.J. Abrams. Like,
Right? Like, creepy sci-fi cult, like creepy, like Sith cult was so cool. I mean, I have lots of questions about the logistics of Exegol and the Final Order and all of that, but like, internal consistency and logic has never been JJ's strong point,
yeah,
but still. But like, oh, that place was creepy. It was so cool.
the opening scene was really cool when uh, Kylo was going into the temple and all that. Like that's when I was
Yeah, that
just
was
like, oh, we're getting into
intense.
some creepy territory here. Like, this is actually really cool. Like, I really liked how it began, and then it just kept going. The movie itself kept going
And going and going.
and going and
Um,
going.
well, that was such a fast-paced start, and then we were like,
Yeah. Well, okay. Go, going back to the Rose thing, apparently, according to the co-writer, whose name I forgot, but I have it right here because I don't want to leave anybody out.
is it like Ryan Terrio?
Chris Terrio.
Chris Terrio. I knew it was Terrio.
Yeah. He said that Rose was supposed to be she was going to stay on the planet behind. She wasn't going to go with the rest of the group. That was always the plan. But she was supposed to have a lot more scenes with Carrie Fisher. Like, she was supposed to be, just right next to her the whole time, and
Because
they were,
she said something about the general needs her.
yeah.
And if
So
you don't actually have the general to film with,
exactly. So that's
that
kind of
makes
why
sense.
she just got relegated to just nothing really.
That's
Um,
just really horrific coincidence because with all of the complaints about Rose and her character and everything, and then for that to happen, like, it looks like they capitulated to sexist racists, and that
yeah.
sucks.
That
Okay, well, now I feel a little less bitter about that.
I mean, who it could be an excuse, but it does, to me, it does make sense. So,
Yeah.
um, but again, I don't know why they didn't just do like they did with oh Jesus Christ, what's the character from uh Rogue One, who he was just completely animated the entire movie.
Oh, the General Tarkin?
Yes. Um,
Admiral? I think it's Admiral.
yeah, because yeah, he was.
Don't come after me, geeks. No.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe Billy Lord and all them didn't really want that because I know they said, "Oh, we have enough to work with from her deleted scenes from Force Awakens." I assumed that meant, or from Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, but I just assumed that meant, oh, we have enough to go off of and to animate, not just we're going to use these 4 minutes of scenes that were deleted and that's all she's going to be in it.
Yeah.
So that was a bit disappointing too, but I get it. It's a very awkward position to be
It's
put in.
sensitive, but she's also so important. You can't just. This is not a person you could just write off, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, but you never answered the question. How do you feel about the fact that Rey is Palpatine?
Oh, well, I don't know. I feel like my eye rolling might have said it all. I don't. It
But
felt.
what is it? Is it that the that Palpatine was still alive somehow, or was it that, like, why is that?
I think just overall because it felt very. It felt very shoehorned. It felt just contrived in
Yeah,
a way to just. It just felt like a marketing tool. Like, oh, let's bring Palpatine back, but how are we gonna bring it back and make sense? But uh,
I don't know. I didn't. Well, it's hard because like Jedi weren't supposed to have kids, and it was never implied that the ability to use the Force was genetic or like inherited.
Mm-hmm.
So was there any guarantee that Rey would have been powerful, that Palpatine needed to procreate in order to keep himself alive for longer? Like, that felt really weird. I feel like the idea that Kylo was lying to her when he said her parents were no one. Like, some people are like, no, he's saying no one because they didn't want to be anyone, because this is who, her grandfather was, blah, blah, blah. Also, when I think about the timeline, unless someone's having sex with wrinkly Palpatine, it should have actually been her great-grandfather, not her grandfather.
Mm.
The timeline would have been much less creepy, and he was a senator, so he probably could have had, and then the chancellor, so he probably could have, had a wife or a mistress or something.
Yeah.
Someone who would reasonably sleep with him without being like, oh God, I'm terrified for life.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just, like, I liked it because on one hand, it made sense of like, she's super powerful, but then it almost made it seem like being a Sith is inherited versus a choice. And all of the movies, all the first 6 basically made it seem like, no, this is a choice, not something you're made to.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically said, oh no, she was made for this. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if she'd been raised to be this, that'd be one thing, but she was, hidden away and abandoned. Like, but it made it seem like being a Sith is this inherited trait. It's like a bloodline, and that is dumb. I don't know. Because I get the bloodline thing too, because we've got the Skywalkers or whatever, but it made it seem like being one or the other is not a choice, and it's always been super important about that your side of the Force is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, having the ability to access the Force is neutral. What you do with it is... So that's what really bugged me, because it did make it powerful that she was always going to choose the good side and that she was this good person despite everything that had happened.
Yeah.
But they also made this big deal about her having Sith powers.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that scene was really scary.
That actually was a pretty tense
I knew
scene.
right away there was no way that Chewie was going to be dead.
I'll get there. So that's actually one thing I really liked in The Last Jedi, how it ended was, Broom Boy, I think that's what everyone calls him, how that he's just nobody, but he's able to use the Force. I actually liked that it was you could be anybody. Rey didn't need to come from anybody.
And I remember after The Force Awakens hoping that she was nobody.
Yeah. Because
I wanted that to be the story, is that you don't have to be from one of these families, because that's just every fantasy story ever.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a chosen one from a special family. This was basically like a chosen one story but it pulled a fast one on you and didn't tell you it was a chosen one story until the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or the chosen ones.
Yeah. And apparently that was what Finn was going to tell Rey, was that he was Force sensitive. Which I just thought it was kind of dumb that they, he
made
said
it seem like he was going to say he was in love with her.
Well, that I kind of assumed that, but he said, I never told you, and then he doesn't get to it. But then later on, Poe even says something like, "Oh, you're not going to tell her whatever it was you were going to say," and he's like, "Oh, you're still on that," and then they never go back to it again. And he just has the one line where like, "Oh, I can just feel it," or something like that. I get it was very lightly hinted at, but I mean,
well, they showed us he was Force sensitive without having him say it, but that's why I felt like we needed 2 movies, because if you're also okay, so Force Awakens is sort of like a Finn and Rey movie.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Last Jedi is a Rey movie, and it really is clear that Rey is his main character. Like, if you want to also tell this story of Finn and like being Force sensitive and coming to it later in life, similar to how Princess Leia did, that's a whole other movie. Give me a Finn movie. That sounds great. I love John Boyega. He's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen the things that he bought with like his money from Star Wars?
No.
Like, just the weirdest stuff. Like, I think he does an interview on one of the late night people, but like he talked about all this weird stuff he bought with his Star Wars money, and I'm like, dude, like we are kindred spirits, because I totally like there was some kind of weird lamp. It was like a lamp made out of a trumpet or something. I was like, I would totally buy that.
Oh my God. I just remember, I don't know if you ever watched James Corden when he does Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and John Boyega was on there, and James asked him, uh, oh, both Star Wars movies combined made $3 billion. How much of that were you paid? And he just kind of like looked at James for a second and then dove into whatever it was he was supposed to eat.
Nice.
um,
It's kind of gauche to talk about it, so I respect that.
yeah. So I don't know. I feel like if they were going to introduce the whole Finn being force sensitive thing, maybe just give you one tiny little scene in The Last Jedi. I get that, they didn't know what was going to befall all of them following The Last Jedi, but at least start somewhere that way, and then keep hinting at it over the course of this movie, where it was just the one scene at the end, and that was it, really.
Right, well, because there's going to be, since the fall of the Jedi, there's going to be a ton of people out. I mean, it's not like the Force was broken and disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a ton of people out there who've grown up Force sensitive and never became Jedi or never trained with their skill. Like, there's probably a ton of people like Finn out there.
Yeah.
Adults who this is their life, or they know things or have intuitions or understand what they're accessing, and the cat's clearly Force sensitive.
Apparently.
He's trying to tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe you did kind of sense something when in The Force Awakens, like the final lightsaber duel, when he actually fights Kylo for a little bit. I don't know, maybe that was, but also he was just kind of acting out of emotion because it looked like Rey might have been losing at that time. So who knows? Maybe that was just supposed to be an emotional duel on Finn's part, and not necessarily showing that he's a Jedi.
I always thought it implied he was Force sensitive. I didn't know if it was going to be him or Rey that was magical at the end of that movie. Or that it was going to be both, and they were going to go on this journey together of like, let's find our Force powers.
That would have been pretty cool, honestly. Okay, well, so going on to the whole Chewie thing, I was legit sad for about 30 seconds, but then 15 seconds later they revealed he wasn't dead. Like,
right.
Like, you should have at least given us another 20 minutes to actually believe, like, oh, shit, maybe they really did this. Like, maybe they actually really killed him off. But they give you, like, maybe 2 minutes, and then...
If anyone but Rey had killed him, I would have believed Chewie was dead. But I was like, there's just no way. And it would have been two parallel of storytelling of, like, Kylo killing Han, and then Rey kills Chewie. Like, no, they're not that logical. That would mean by the end of this, Rey's evil. And I didn't think that was coming. So I knew there was no way, like, right away. I was like, no, there was 2 transports. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, immediately I was like, no, this is not what happened.
I did get pretty wide-eyed, though, when she was trying to stop the ship, and then...
Well, because she's so powerful between the 2 movies.
Yeah. She just hasn't learned how to use it, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, oh my God, like I said, the more and more I talk about this movie, it just gets frustrating. The thing I did say was this, like in my review on Letterboxd, I said, was this entertaining? Like, yes, but
is it good storytelling? No.
No, this is by far JJ's laziest storytelling, I feel.
Okay. I just got a text from my mom that apparently the Packer game right now is insane.
Oh, shit. Yeah, we did good yesterday.
Yeah, I actually was rooting for the 49ers yesterday.
Now, it's going to be a rivalry if the Seahawks win, and it's going to be the Seahawks and 49ers, because all of my family are Seahawks fans. And my mom about disowned me when I told her I was a 49er fan a few years ago.
Well, if it's 49ers versus Seahawks, I'm team 49ers because I hate the Seahawks.
Oh, good.
Deeply. Like, being in in the division I'm in, I'm like, I'm not a fan of the Bears. I don't like the Vikings, although I'm literally wearing a Vikings sweatshirt right now because it's the biggest sweatshirt we own, and my husband is a Vikings fan. I'm neutral on the Lions. They're occasionally a threat, whatever. But it's like I don't have strong feelings about them. Growing up, everybody hated the Cowboys, but like I deeply hate the Seahawks. Part of it is I really don't like Russell Wilson, which is a rant that I have gone on when drunk.
Oh shit.
Notably at the Christmas party we hosted in the beginning of December for Joey's coworker, somebody made a I made a comment about hating Russell Wilson, and someone like challenged me on it. And I just like went off, and they were all like, "Whoa." So I don't like Russell Wilson, and even previous to him, I just don't like the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Sorry, friends. I don't hold it against anybody who's a Seahawks fan. It's really like the franchise. It's not about people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Back to the point of why we're here.
Yeah. So.
We need to talk about Raylo. We just got to get it over with.
Oh, God. The other gigantic. There was 3 really big eye rolls. One was the whole Palpatine reveal.
Yeah.
This was number 2.
Okay. And what was the other one?
We'll get there. It was so funny too because when they actually kissed, the entire theater I'm not even joking, the entire theater all just went ew. Like you can hear it. Like you can hear groans in the theater when they kissed. I was not. No,
Okay. So they set up this story and this tie between them. Like moment 1 when they meet, you see this developing. Like it's going to be this love story. There was no way they were going to be created, or was going to be this sort of like intense, maybe even really unhealthy attraction. It gets healthier, which I'll give them that. The way this actually develops is fairly healthy. Other than, like she stabs him, but she heals him. Whatever. Like it could have been so much more scary and abusive, and it's not. So I will give it that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The first time around in my head, so when I first saw it, like we get to the moment and you know that he's going to use his power to save her, but because she was dead, in order to bring someone back to life, not just heal them, but bring them back to life, he was going to need to die. Mm-hmm. And when you look at Kylo Ren's journey to being Ben Solo and everything he did, and then paralleling that with Anakin's final moments, like they can have their moment of redemption, but they need to die. That's what happened with Anakin. It needed to happen with him. And I was so afraid that they were going to let him live. And so literally when I see him die, I actually made the chef's kiss motion because I was like, yes, this is exactly what needed to happen. Like he wanted to be Darth Vader. He wanted to be Anakin Skywalker, and he was. That is exactly what happened. He had this rough life and made stupid choices and did terrible, terrible things, like killing Han Solo aside. He's also like billions of people potentially are dead because of this bitch. So he needed to die. Like he needed to have his redemption and his moment of happiness and knowing that he did the right thing and something unselfish and selfless. And then he needs to die. Mm-hmm. So then I go on Twitter and there's an author I really like. I'm not going to call it who it is, who was like, this is a betrayal of the narrative. This is terrible storytelling, him dying. Like they give us, it's supposed to be about hope, and it's supposed to be this story where, there's hope that he can be redeemed. And I was like, someone being redeemed does not necessarily mean they get to live. Mm-hmm. But it really gave me pause for a long time because I was like, oh my God, did I see this wrong? And I'd kind of forgotten about all the horrible stuff that he did. And then like we rewatched Force Awakens, like, no, he killed his dad. He killed not even just like killing Han Solo. He killed his dad.
Yeah.
He killed his dad to become more powerful, to betray this whole sense of everything that he is. So I was like, no, like, as much as for a while there, I was like, oh, yes, the tiny, like, Raylo shipper inside me was like, oh, it's so cute. Like, I love it. It's so intense and, like, adorable. And it's just, like, one, like, perfect kiss moment. You're like, oh, like, yes, I am totally, like, squee hard eyes for that. Like, I got it. I don't groan at the kiss at all because that's where it was going.
Yeah.
Like moment 1, laid eyes on each other. That's where it was going. But was it they're going to kiss and then they both die, or they're going to kiss and then he dies? That has been my guess from day one. As soon as I knew he was Ben Solo, that's where it was going. Mm. So that was perfect to me. But I was like, oh, did he get to live? And then so I like really sat on it for a while, and then I went back and watched. And then we watched the prequel trilogy again, and I remember like literally I was like, Anakin kills younglings. This bitch deserves to die.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you want to parallel your granddad's journey, Ben Solo has to die.
Yeah.
Period. So to me, like I felt like, people can be mad about the romantic piece of it or not, but him turning away from what he did to save her and dying was good storytelling. That was the only thread that followed through all three movies. Was he was starting with I'm a little bitch ass on the force wearing a stupid helmet and walking like a robot to I'm a human being again. I have my one and only smile the entire movie and then the entire trilogy and then I die.
Yeah.
That was perfect. I go back to the chef's kiss. That was exactly what it should have been.
So it sounds like that was probably your favorite bit of their storytelling, like where their storytelling was almost genius.
Yes. That was the only thing that I feel like everybody followed all the way through.
I get that. I didn't think about it.
And with or without the kiss, that's still where it should have gone.
Mm-hmm.
If there's just like besties or they know that they're this dyad, blah blah blah. Like, cool. We're not even gonna talk about that. Just call it right now. We're not talking about
that. Okay. Did you like any of the newer characters? Like,
the tiny depressed robot.
yeah, he was pretty good.
Anxiety robot. No, thank you.
Yeah, he was pretty good. He was very polite.
I like the idea of a spin-off being the clone or the stormtrooper orphans finding where they're from.
Yeah.
Like that's an intriguing storyline. Like that's really somebody mining like fascist authoritarian empires and how you recover from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. That feels real. I would enjoy that. But then the question is, where's Baby Yoda?
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing. So I said that they released the Mandalorian episode on Thursday because that was the episode where Baby Yoda showed that he could heal. And otherwise people would have been like, what the hell? No one shows that any other time in the Force when she does it in the movie. So I felt like they did that. And someone's like, no, they didn't want to compete. And I was like, there is no competing. The Mandalorian's so good. People wouldn't like, no, it wasn't a competition thing for me. It was that they felt they needed to reveal the healing skill prior to the movie.
I still haven't watched the damn finale, but
Brad.
I know. I don't know. Probably after seeing this, I probably do. It's probably gonna make me feel a lot better.
It will. It was like I said. It was not what I was expecting. It was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
This one different than I thought, but this is good. I like this.
Surprisingly, I actually really liked the God, I don't even know what he was. The little thing that hacked into C-3PO. I can't remember his name.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's one of my oldest friends.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The 3PO storyline, though.
Oh, yes. There
Now,
we go.
that was another bullshit punch pull.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm thinking 3PO is going to be gone. I am crying.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything's fine.
I knew that was coming.
I knew it was coming, and I was really hoping that it wasn't.
I was kind of hoping they would just keep playing off the,
none of the stakes were real in this movie.
Exactly. There was no repercussions for anything. Everybody was fine. Everybody
got his memory back. I mean, okay, we lose Leia, which we knew was coming ahead of time, and we lose Ben, which I knew was coming ahead of time. But like, otherwise, the stakes for everything else weren't real. And the thing is, that's most devastating because so there's a moment, and I might tear up when I talk about this, when Chewie comes back and knows that she's gone, and he screams. I understand that moment in a way that I can't talk about because I will cry. As something I've experienced myself, and that was so good and powerful and made you believe people in this world could be lost and people are hurt by it. And then they just that all up.
Yeah. Sadly, because I think there was a humorous scene right before that happened. It might have been something with Chewie too, because I remember there was like this family behind us. They had like 3 or 4 little boys, and they were laughing at everything Chewie did. And then we get to that scene when he's upset about Leia, and somebody goes to console him, and he kind of just throws them off of him, and the kids just started busting up laughing at that. And I'm like, you guys are ruining this for me. Like,
I probably don't understand what was
I,
happening.
I know, but I honestly want to say I feel like a couple adults laughed at that part too, but who
Well, they've
knows?
clearly never lost anybody.
Apparently, yeah, because yeah, that really got me. I feel like had the other people
Yes.
not ruined it for me, I probably would have started crying.
Yeah, that one hurt.
Yeah, and I think it's because even J.J. Abrams said, I think that was deliberately. Well, it was probably already going to be written, but I feel like it was deliberately had that punch because JJ even said his biggest regret on The Force Awakens was not having Chewie and Leia embrace after they get back from Han being killed. He just walks right past her, and Leia just goes right to Rey and hugs her. You
Yeah,
know
which is weird.
that yeah
I
that
remember
was
thinking that when I watched it this last time. I was like, do you even know each other?
yeah
It's just so weird. It was weird. Like, what did like Han send a message to her saying like, "Hey, picked up this kid. She's cool. You guys are gonna be buddies." Like,
yeah right.
what?
Like I remember even thinking when I watched Force Awakens, like as they were traveling back, I was like, oh no, it's gonna be so emotional when Leia sees Chewie, and then they just walk right past each other. I was like, oh, okay, or not.
I mean, it's the downside to these movies, though, is that there's so many characters who are so connected in so many different ways that, like, and you're also trying to tell a new story with a new character, things are just going to get lost. I, I don't know. I don't know, but then there were all these, like, big, powerful moments that I did enjoy. Like, when they are going to fight the Final Order and all of the ships show up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was overwhelming and made me really emotional. But then when I think about it, I'm like, okay, but why did nobody show up the first time?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if they'd showed up the first time, they would have only stopped one piece of it and not this final end game, And then would people have shown up again? Or like, I don't know. I don't know.
Because they had to make you think that they had stakes, something bad was going to happen when it was not going to at all.
I know it's so hard because there are pieces of it that are like really good filmmaking and look really good and are interesting. And there's pieces here and there that are fun. But like, because that's the thing is these movies have done really good of expanding the visual scope. So like, when they go back to the old Death Star and like how that looks and like that ocean and like that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I mean that in like the really traditional sense of the word is, and it filled me with awe,
Yeah.
Or even the size of the way the First Order looks, or the cult on Exegol, like all those things were so cool and so different than anything we got in the original trilogy, and I love that. I love the massiveness of it. It's sort of like in one of the things I loved in The Last Jedi is when she flies the ship into the destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
Like the visual of that moment, I mean genuinely I was just blown away. I thought that was one of the most devastating, gorgeous things I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
So like I give these movies so much credit for creating this really powerful visual storytelling, but the stories they're telling are stupid.
Exactly. Oh shit, there was something I was gonna say. Damn, now I can't remember what I was gonna. One of my points was gonna be. Yeah, again, it just goes back to the whole they wanted to create these stakes, but there's no repercussions to them. It just I don't know.
Like at some point we get tired of a machine that can kill a whole planet.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was the other
That
thing.
sounds so insensitive. But at the same time, like that's the third time, like this whole planet's gonna be gone. Like, how much of you just keep creating bigger and bigger machines to do the thing that the smallest machine already did?
Yeah, right. And
I'm confused.
this might just be just griping about the little things now, but like when they actually get to the Death Star, they land in a seemingly random area. She walks to a seemingly random part of the cliff, but holds up that dagger, and she's in the right spot she needs to be for that thing to point her way. It was just little things like that. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, though?
No.
Because when she holds up the dagger and is like moving it along the Death Star, which is telling her where the beacon is, and then she pulls out that little tiny part out of the handle of it.
Oh yeah.
And she's like looking through it. Yeah, like I said, they land in a seemingly random area. She walks to a seemingly random part, holds that up, and she's in the right area for that thing to align
that's
perfectly.
Just some Goonies storytelling. I'm behind that one.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even think about that, but
I still thought it was like random and dumb of like, how is this the right place? What I didn't even understand what she was seeing when she looked at it. And like, was the dagger made for the built Death Star, or was it made after the Death Star crashed and then they built it based on where it crashed?
Yeah, true.
But the thing is, every time you try and dig a level deeper, nothing makes sense anymore. And like, I know this is a common JJ criticism because people are like, oh, Lost was supposed to have all this mythology. I'm like, Lost did have this mythology. They just didn't get to finish everything, I think, the way they thought they were going to. So like, there was a deeper level. Or like, for example, I'm a JJ Abrams fan because of the show Alias. And the Alias mythology across its 5 seasons was actually pretty well rounded. It was introduced in the first episode and it was there in the last one, and it was part of the resolution of the entire series. So like, all right, that was deep mythology. It got there.
Yeah.
And I think he's okay when he's creating his own, because you only have to go so many layers down. But like with Star Wars, it's a universe. It's literally a universe. And so I think that he did enough surface logic to get by, but as soon as you scratch deeper, nothing makes sense anymore.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun, though, to watch The Force Awakens again and see, like, Daisy Ridley look like such a baby.
Yeah.
She still had, like, baby fat in her cheeks. And, like, now by the time she gets to be, Jedi Rey, she's so, like, honed and sharp.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, going back and watching Force Awakens, I think I watched it the day after I went and saw Rise of Skywalker, and I was just like, this was so much fun. Like, what happened?
It was. It was.
I get that they had much more time to develop that story because it was supposed to be the director of Jurassic World, I believe, that was supposed to do Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then, yeah, there was creative differences and he left. So, and then...
See, what bothers me is that if you're going to write a trilogy, at the outset you're writing a trilogy, you write the entire thing up front.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just make it up as you go.
Or at least know your endpoint and write around it or fill it in,
Well, the thing is, I think they did. They just, nobody thought about the middle movie.
Yeah.
And then when Rian Johnson was like, great, no one's going to think about this movie, I'm going to do this, and he did it, then people didn't know what to do with that. Yeah. And because it was so polarizing, like, I don't know, they could have kept following the thread that he started and still had just as big of a movie in Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although I think it's still not doing as well as Last Jedi. I think of the new trilogy, Last Jedi still did the best financially.
I think maybe overall, but I know domestically, The Force Awakens is the highest grossing movie in the U.S. of all time. They just in the U.S. alone, it almost hit $1 billion.
That's awesome.
Which is, yeah, that is insane. All right, so my third big eye roll moment was the very, very end when Rey says her name.
Oh god, the memes about that will never get old to me.
Oh Jesus, I have not seen them because I feel like it'd make me even more angry.
I think I would have been okay if she'd said Rey Solo. Or just Rey.
Yeah.
Just Rey. Like, why do you need to own... I don't know. They needed a reason to show Force ghosts. And... Oh, God, I don't know. It...
That was one of my favorite parts, though, when
she's always felt like they're her family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that she felt like she belonged with them as soon as she was with them. But there's this legacy of being a Skywalker, and you literally saw how that totally fucked up Ben.
Mm-hmm.
How can you want to take that? How can you want to say, like, I'm going to take this up, I'm a Skywalker? Like, that doesn't matter. It does not matter. She said, just Rey. I would be like, damn right, just Rey.
Exactly.
You don't need to be somebody's descendant or part of a family or any of that crap. You can just be Rey. You're good enough, Rey. I promise.
I did really like, though, when all the Jedi were talking to her. It was really cool to see in the credits all the names. Everybody, I am assume they came in and recorded new lines. I don't think they took anything from other
They
movies.
did.
Yeah.
All of them did.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that
Well, some
was.
are characters who've only existed in certain universes now have also came in and did, or who've only been in animated things, did voices.
Oh wow.
Um, although I like the ones where it shows like all the Jedi saying certain things, and then Mace Windu, get up, motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
Been amazing.
Oh.
Like just Samuel L. Jackson existing in a movie is automatically meta.
Oh yeah, I know. Uh, it would have. I think it would have been even better. Well, maybe not. Maybe just that little bit was enough. I was gonna say to have all of them come back as Force Ghosts, but I think that might defeat the purpose too.
Also, it would have been creepy to look out across Tatooine and just see a field of Force ghosts, and she's like, "Shit, are you guys gonna be around all the time?"
Yeah. Right. uh,
Also, I
um.
don't think it was clear enough that her lightsaber was built from her staff. I did not know that. I just assumed she built herself a fancy lightsaber and, the gold crystal and whatever, but so it's supposed to be like noticeable that it's built from a piece of her staff.
I see. I didn't even catch that. I did not know that till right now.
Right? I read that somewhere and I was like, that was not clear to me. I thought they were
See.
just doing a cool zoom in shot on a fancy new lightsaber.
Yeah. I guess that was their way of telling you, but I don't think it was very obvious. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did like.
Well, someone also talked about they make this big point of her staff being her weapon for so much of it. They could have built a way that it was a staff lightsaber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they did kind of show that in her Force nightmare, whatever you want to call that. Force hallucination.
Yeah, that thing was cool.
Which I could tell from the trailers that was going to be
An illusion.
an illusion or a nightmare or something. I knew that wasn't going to be like. Now that I think about the marketing for this movie, it's also pisses me off.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you enjoy her Bilbo moment?
or what?
So when she's seen that hallucination and then suddenly her little her little, evil ray goes, ah, and she's like the sharp teeth.
Oh yeah, that was actually pretty creepy.
It was creepy, but that's like reminded me of Bilbo in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way until now. uh, I actually really I didn't even realize that's who was playing this character until the very end, and then I realized, oh yeah, she was in this movie. That's who that must have been, was Kerry Russell's character.
Right? Okay. All of us were like, whose voice is that? I know who that is. It was bugging me the whole time. I was like, I know this voice. And then I looked it up after the movie and I was like, oh my God. Because I remember seeing a thing about like Kerry Russell playing mysterious character in Rise of Skywalker. And I'm like, man.
And the other thing was the whole Lando thing. Just again, I feel like that was just another marketing tool because I don't want to say he does nothing, but he does next to nothing in this whole movie.
Yeah, like why would you get Luke that far and then you guys give up and you just like, I'm gonna stay on this planet?
Yeah, right. And that was a little creepy with him talking to that girl at the end. I'm sorry, but that was a really creepy moment.
Yeah, well, because it's meant to imply like, oh, he's her father, which is also super weird. But it came off like, how you doing?
Yeah, I could not get a reading on where
He can't say anything without sounding like he's flirting.
Yeah,
gift and a curse.
And I don't know how you feel about the movie Solo. I actually really like it. I think it's fun. It's unnecessary, but it's fun.
It's okay.
But I do think
I was kind of indifferent to it.
Yeah. But I do think Donald Glover did you know what? I don't think he was trying to be Lando. Honestly, to me, it just seemed like he was doing a Billy D. Williams impression the entire movie, which isn't a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing. He did a really good job. Just that's all I was getting was he was just imitating Billy D. Williams the whole movie.
Yeah. Nope, totally feel that.
My God, is there anything else?
I honestly don't think so.
Well, I haven't done I haven't titled it a love it or hate it episode in a while, so I guess this will technically be a love it or hate it episode because I always say that there's only two ways the internet agrees on something: you love it or you hate it. So I think we can definitively say that we didn't love it.
I almost feel like that's going too far. Like I don't have enough negative feelings about it to say that I hated it.
Then
The cat hates it. The cat hates it, clearly. It's almost like it's too convoluted to have an opinion.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Like, I'm disappointed. I'll go with that. I'm disappointed in it. Like, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
I am both of those things, but also, like I said, the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, I realize how much I didn't like it. Will I watch it again? Well,
Yeah.
yes, because it's
Yeah.
still entertaining as hell. But I'm gonna look at it as one of those movies that it's so bad it's good kind of thing.
I think that it will get there. I also think it will be interesting if there are deleted scenes that we get to see. What is some of the storytelling that was missing? I think as more things come out, but I still think part of this was there was reaction to The Last Jedi. JJ felt like he needed to course correct, and I think that was a bad decision.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was momentum that was built in The Last Jedi that opened up all these possibilities, and I feel like a door was shut.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So.
There's
let's
actually
just call. No wait, I know. Let's call it a letdown.
yeah.
It was a letdown. I didn't hate it, but it let me down.
There's actually two things I forgot that we didn't talk about. One was what should I go with first? Okay, well, one was the flashback when you got to see Luke and Leia training.
That was cool.
That was actually a really cool scene. I thought
Agreed.
Luke looked really good. Apparently I think they used Billy Lord for.
They did.
But for some reason
face did the CGI did not line up right on the body.
No,
it looked really weird. I think they made her head too tiny.
But luckily it's like a 2.5 second shot, so that was good. But that was a really cool scene. How did you feel about the Han Solo cameo, which I honestly did not see coming?
I did not either, and they actually he's uncredited.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I actually don't. It's fun. So how they talked him into coming back and doing it. I like that it mirrored the conversation they had in The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like again that built more internal narrative structure that made Kylo Ren got the best. Like Kylo Ren to Ben Solo got the best, most narratively consistent story in the entire trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sign of him breaking because it's not a Force ghost. That wasn't Han. That was him having this moment where like he almost died and he lives. And I think, that near-death experience can be really powerful for people. So who's the person that you admired most in the world? He keeps saying it's Anakin, but it's not. It's his dad.
Yeah.
And so he has a conversation with his dad who tells him exactly what I told him the first time is like, I think it's also the moment where it's his own mind reminding him that he's not beyond redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was okay with it. I was not expecting it. But I was okay with it.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite parts in the movie. And even though I don't like Kylo as a character, and I'm sorry I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, I don't really care for Adam Driver in general. I don't think he's I don't either.
Actor. This is the only thing I've ever okay, so that's the thing is I'm mad at these movies for that. By the end of The Last Jedi, the tension between them was so palpable and well done that I was like, oh my god, I'm finding Adam Driver vaguely sexy right now. I don't like this. And the fact that I watched their kiss, I'm like, oh, heart swelling, because then people would set the scene in the kiss to romantic music or music like the Titanic theme song.
Oh my god,
it's fantastic. It's really good. You fall down a Reylo rabbit hole on Twitter, it is a great place to be. I can't even lie. They're very angry right now, but they're doing some really hilarious fan stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not really a big fan of Adam Driver either. I think he's an interesting human being, a little bit pompous.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I've ever genuinely really liked him in was BlacKkKlansman.
I still haven't seen that, but I've heard he does a really good job.
You have to. He does, because it's basically a black guy and a tall Jewish man taking on the Klan. That's amazing.
Oh, wow. He plays a good guy in it then.
Yes. That's the thing is I don't like... Even this is this is a bad guy who only comes across whiny, and who he is in Girls. I have never been interested in that show, and two, all I hear about is he's super disgusting, so not into it.
Oh god,
I don't like him. Did you know he was a Marine?
Oh wow, no, I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's why he's such a shit. So he was a Marine for I think 3 years before he was medically discharged. And then he went to Juilliard to be an actor.
Oh, right on.
And now here he is. I read an article about how people are like, oh, Adam Driver is like quirky and different, and he's not your typical leading man. And it was an article basically like, no, he is exactly our typical leading man, and here's why. And part of it was like he was a Marine, so he's not just like visual muscles; those muscles have been made somehow, and like our actual strength and like all this thing. It was a very interesting article on Vox about like why we're fooling ourselves if we think Adam Driver is not a typical leading man. He's a tall, muscular white male.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And without the good sense of humor of Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
I just watched a really cute like little video about how Chris Hemsworth is a good dad, and I was like, yeah, he is. So I'm feeling warm fuzzies about Hemsworth right now.
Yeah, I've always liked Chris Hemsworth.
He's a person where I'd be like, he'd be both fun and an asshole as your big brother, but I think it'd be more fun than an asshole.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to Adam Driver, I think this is probably his best performance of the entire trilogy, even though I don't care for the character, but also that was a really good scene. That almost made me sort of like, not even Kylo, because that's the moment he becomes Ben again.
Yeah, his name is Ben. You like guys named Ben.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever known a jerk named Ben.
Yeah. And it's so many people I know are like, they really like Kylo as a character, and any way they spin it to me, I go, no, he killed Han Solo. I don't give a shit about him. Like, he does not get a pass.
Yeah, nope, I'm not into it.
All right, well, I don't think we can talk about it anymore without dissecting any more without getting pissed. So,
well, without just getting like really into like minutia, and we already know that the logic is not internally consistent, so we're just gonna name things that aren't explained, and it's just gonna become a list of frustrations.
Yeah, exactly.
But as said, am I gonna watch it again? Yeah. Am I gonna watch it again probably more than once? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's a Star Wars movie.
Exactly.
Like at some point they get a pass.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's still this big entertaining magic. It'd be like if Endgame had really, really sucked. We all probably still would have gone and seen it and kind of loved it and watched it a million times in a row, because like we have these things that are common cultural experiences, and you just go along with it.
I told somebody at work, I was like, we all know doing finales and ending things are hard, and we knew we were getting two grand finales this year, being Endgame and this one, and we already got one grand finale, so it wasn't going to strike twice.
That's a good point. I think it's also hilarious that by comparison, Rian Johnson's movie Knives Out has done so well.
Yes, he deserves it, because
like that is hilarious to me that like, well, now they're even talking about making a sequel, which is a mistake.
Oh, you think so?
Yes, because okay, don't get me wrong. I actually would completely follow a story of like, oh my gosh, I can't even remember Daniel Craig's character's name because it's so weird. Foghorn Leghorn.
Benoit Blanc.
Benoit Blanc, which is the fucking ridiculous name. I would follow him solving random batshit mysteries. Like, don't get me wrong, I would go there, but that's what they need to do. They need to completely leave the first movie behind and do a completely new thing. They need to like Hercule Poirot it. Like, he needs to be this guy who solves mysteries. And then we're good. It's if they try and like do a sequel to anything involving any of the extending characters from the first movie, that will be a mistake. It can't be a sequel. It's an anthology.
Yeah.
But I also think that's very difficult to do. Like it's that idea of like lightning in a bottle. So now we're gonna get all these like original mystery movies, and none of them are gonna be as good as Knives Out.
Yeah, that was definitely a surprise. I was expecting it to be good, but it turned out to be really good. So I was really happy about that.
And not just that Chris Evans in a cozy sweater.
Yeah, right. I can't remember now. I can't remember where I placed that on my top 19. Where did I place that? It was number 5. So that's not bad at all.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, I appreciate that in this moment where everyone's like, oh, Rise of Skywalker, Rian Johnson's Knives Out is like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But I've also read a real fun article about why people feel that way too. Is like we've gone in, we only expect spectacle. So when we have these non-spectacle movies, like our bar for good storytelling is extremely low. And because the storytelling is so good in that movie, everybody's like, oh, like it's not actually that great of a movie. It's just really good storytelling.
Yeah, it was.
So, I mean, it definitely, after seeing Knives Out, I definitely will see more things Rian Johnson does because he knows how to tell a good story.
Mm-hmm. It was a lot more subdued movie than I thought it was going to be because the trailers they didn't make it look over the top actiony, but it looked like it was going to have more action than what it did when there was, aside from that short car chase, there really was no action scenes.
No, there wasn't, but it was fun.
Which I'm glad that Chris Evans winds up saying that was the worst car chase ever. All right, well, thank you again for doing this because
we needed to get it out of our system.
Yes, exactly. I needed to let it out. Having it all pent up was not going to be good.
Yeah, no, probably not.
All right. Well, we have stuff lined up for future episodes, which we should be doing shortly. It's going to be a change from the usual stuff, so I'm really curious to see how it's going to go.
Yeah. And if you really want to help out Brad's podcast, rate it on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Because that's how you get better metrics.
Yes, and I finally...
Also set it to automatically download whether you listen or not.
Oh, can you do that?
Yeah, you could be each individual podcast. You can set if you want to automatically download when a new episode comes.
Oh shit! Right on. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Well, I don't have an iPhone, so yeah. Yeah, and I finally hit 10.
You're one of 2 podcasts I do that for.
Oh sweet! Oh god, who's the other?
Teen Creeps. It's my favorite podcast.
Oh okay. Well, it's good to be number 2.
They go over YA like horror fiction, particularly vintage stuff from like the 90s, 80s, and 90s. It's amazing.
It does sound perfectly like you.
Yeah, they're my faves.
All right. Thank you so much. This was fun, aside from the subject matter.
Yes, definitely.
All right. I will talk to you soon.